I used to believe that being slim, so watching my diet, is all that matters. That by being slim, I've done my job to stay healthy. But there is one big flaw in this way of thinking. Have you ever observed an elderly person having trouble getting up from their seat, or climbing stairs, or even just walk normally? When we are young, we usually don't think about this. I mean, I didn't, but this kind of fragility is not an inevitable part of getting old. This is often due to age-related muscle loss. The term for that is sarcopenia, and it is largely preventable, but not by focusing on being slim, but by actively challenging our muscles. So I would like to talk about this and what we can do to prevent this, because I don't think I'm the only one who got this wrong. The other day I was talking to my cousin, and she was like, "Hey, I heard you're such a gym mouse now. I'm more of a couch potato, but no one would think that because I'm so slim." And I don't tell you this to shame her. I was thinking the same way. And I know so many others do too. I'm telling you this to make the point that we've got the wrong idea about why we need to work our muscles. And it starts with a mindset shift. Most of us don't live in a way that challenges our muscles. And if we don't use them, we'll lose them. As early as in our 20s, we start losing muscle mass. At first slowly, but between the age of 30 and 60, we lose up to 8% of our muscles. That's like up to 3 kilos every 10 years. Can you imagine stepping on the scale and see 3 kilos less? But it's not fat, it's muscle, it's your strength. And after the age of 60, that decline accelerates to up to 3% every single year. And when you lose muscle, you lose strength, especially in your arms and legs. And then it becomes difficult to get up from your chair. Balance gets affected. And now your risk of falling increases. And you can feel that you're more wobbly. And that's scary. And that fear of falling makes older people even less active, losing even more muscle. When you lose strength, you lose mobility and balance. You lose your independence. But the good thing is, so many studies show that sarcopenia is largely preventable with targeted strength training. And I'll tell you the recommended amount of strength training and what I do and how I got started with all this in just a bit. But first, I'd like to tell you about the Hadza and what they can tell us about age-related muscle loss. So the Hadza are a hunter-gatherer tribe in North Tanzania, Africa. Anthropologists and evolutionary biologists love studying them because their hunter-gatherer lifestyle is fairly similar to how all of humanity used to live. And when you look at their elderly, you might be surprised to see that they're one of their most productive foragers, because the moms are busy taking care of the babies. So the grandparents walk for miles into the bush to dig up deeply buried tubers with a stick. Even in their 60s and 70s, they only show modest decline in their activity. But they don't look like modern bodybuilders, and they definitely don't train like one. They challenge their muscles every day with survival tasks and kind of unique way of resting. They show us that we can stay strong and independent until old age. But since we don't dig for tubers, hunt, or rest in a squatting position, we have to do what Western people do to stay strong. We have to follow a recommended minimum dose of strength training. So how much is enough? Official guidelines recommend to do 2 sessions of strength training every week. 6 to 8 different exercises that covers the whole body, like arms, shoulders, chest, back, legs, core, and we should do 2 to 3 sets of each exercise with about 8 to 12 repetitions of each exercise. And it should be at a moderate to high intensity, meaning the last 1 to 2 repetitions of each set should be challenging. And then as you get stronger, you increase the weight, or if you can't load the exercise enough with more weight, then move to a different exercise that challenges you again. That's progressive overload. Now I split my days. I do one day upper body and the other day lower body. And I alternate between those two. And I do 3 sessions a week. And within 11 months, I built 2.5 kilograms of new muscle. And I know that because I did a DEXA scan. And these 2.5 kilos I built while I was still building up to what I'm doing right now. I really struggled to stay consistent with strength training. I really didn't enjoy lifting weights, and I quit the gym so many times. So I slowly build up to what I'm doing. I started with a 10-minute arm workout and then adding 8 minutes of core. Legs was a little easier. I didn't feel quite as much resistance, and then I just added over time more and more. But I don't go to the gym. I do everything at home, just with a few dumbbells. And although I did not enjoy it at first, I think my changed mindset still made me trying to get better at it, because I used to try and do strength training, going to the gym for aesthetics, so for a short-term outcome. But now I want this to be something that is part of my lifestyle, of my life, like cooking and cleaning. I don't always feel like it, but I see the need in it, so I do it. And that is how I want to see strength training. And it really built up to a way that it became somewhat enjoyable. I do like it now because I see what it does to me. After 5 months, I saw a little bump, a little biceps bump, and that was super exciting for me. And then over time, I noticed in so many everyday activities that I became stronger. Like when I do something up my hair, usually my arms would tire really quickly, but now I can do this forever. My arms, they don't get sore or this burning sensation anymore. Or we have an oversized blanket, and I used to ask my husband to fold it. I said I'm too small for that blanket, but I was just too weak. I can now fold it like my arms don't hurt. I can keep that blanket lifted, and it feels so good to be strong. And that keeps me coming back more easily. I mean, I would lie if I would say that I haven't had a day since where I don't feel like working out, but I see it in a different light now. Also, what's very interesting, you know that high feeling you get from a strenuous workout. I mean, I always felt good after working out, but it was more like yeah, I've done it, feel good. But after some time, I felt a real high, like I want to keep going high during that workout already and after, and quite intense. And I didn't really think about that, but in the book Exercise by Daniel Lieberman, I've read that fit people's brains become more responsive to dopamine. So they develop more dopamine receptors and better receptor sensitivity. And that means that the same amount of dopamine has a greater positive effect. And I can really feel this good mood, much more intense than I used to. So if you're like me and you're struggling to consistently do something, then just try starting small. Try something that is enjoyable maybe for you, or something that is at least the least unenjoyable. You don't have to drag through that forever. It's just at the beginning, and then it becomes easier, especially when you notice some changes. We all want to keep our independence as we age, and that independence is something we have to build now.